down. You can close it. Lay down.
So I'm Jake, this is Kelly, and we are the parents in The Simple Things. Elijah's asleep right now, so this is the only time we were able to sit down and sort of film this. We felt like it was important to make some content that might be a little bit more helpful just in terms of traveling. So specifically today we wanted to tell you a little bit about some of the tips we learned for flying with a toddler.
I feel like flying with a toddler can be a stressful process, especially if you've never done it before, thinking about doing it. I think our goal is to try to ease some minds when it comes to traveling, because I don't think having kids should stop you from traveling. Our biggest thing is when we had kids, we did not want to have to stop traveling. And, you know, Elijah is a great traveler, and I think it's because he's used to it. So he goes with us everywhere, and he's pretty good at it.
So a couple of things I'll mention here is that in all the flights that we've been on with Elijah, he has been on the flight as a lap infant, so we haven't had to purchase a separate seat for him. And then also he's been under the age of 2, so we haven't had to worry about masks. So the tips are just going to be basically about traveling with a child that's a lap infant and under 2. One of the first things you're going to want to look at is just whatever airline you're on. You're going to want to look at the accommodations specifically for taking a lab infant along. Many of the airlines will allow you to have an extra personal item that you take. Most of the time you're thinking like a diaper bag / snack and toy bag for your child on the flight, so that they have something to do. You can change them if you need to. And most airlines do allow you that.
Like technically that you're still allowed your own backpacks, and then technically the child gets his own.
You will want to ask when you're at the counter getting ready to board the plane, hey, do you know if there are any extra seats on this plane? Like, is there a chance that we'll be able to maybe get in a row of 3? If you bring that up, some airlines will be intentional about trying to help you in advance, being aware that you're traveling with a toddler, but sometimes you have to ask.
And some airlines also don't keep you together, so we are not people who usually pay that extra price to pick our seats ahead of time. So there have been times that we've been separated on flights, but most airlines seem to be, if we're not sitting together, they do their best to rearrange to get us together so that we can both be with Elijah, which is helpful.
And then all of the airlines we've flown on as well will check a stroller for free, and we'll check a car seat for free.
Gate too.
Yeah, you can definitely take a stroller all the way through to the gate. Now the last airline we flew on, they actually allowed us to bring our baby carrier, so it's what we take Elijah hiking in.
We weren't bringing a stroller for that
right,
one,
we weren't
so
taking
we
the
didn't
stroller.
Have a stroller too,
So I called in advance to ask them if it would be okay to do a gate check for the carrier, walking through the airport with Elijah on my back, and then once we get there, they just check it for free underneath the plane.
And in my opinion, I would recommend having a stroller or a backpack to carry the child through the airport, because it's a lot of walking in some of those airports.
It seems to be the most challenging part for most people anyway, is just doing the security checkpoint. It's much more challenging to do that with a toddler, because generally you have to take whatever stuffed animal comfort item out of their hand and put it through the thing, or if you have a stroller you have to break it down, or if you have a back carrier you have to put it on the belt and pass it through.
Sometimes the people working security are helpful, but other times they are not, and they just look at you and expect you to know exactly what you're doing with all that stuff, and so it can be stressful. But
they'll have you come through, they won't make your toddler go through the large heavy radiation scanner. You'll be able to go through one of those side old metal detectors that they'll bring you through, but you're trying to carry the toddler and you've taken your belt off, so you're trying to hold your pants up. It can be a little hectic getting through.
Keep in mind that if you do bring formula through security, they will stop you at least in our experience, they stopped us every single time. Elijah did not drink formula, but we had it just in case, and they stopped us every time, and it was always an unopened, completely brand new container formula just there in case. Be flexible. The security might stop you to look through diaper bags for, milk and all that stuff, but you are allowed to bring formula, bottles of milk, all that stuff for infants. So they are a little more lenient on liquids when it comes to what you need for an infant.
Yeah, and we typically try to bring those little like pouches, especially
pouches.
for like takeoff and landing. Because with the change in elevation, a lot of times as adults we like chew gum or something just to try to keep that equilibrium. So if they can be eating something, that generally helps them be less fussy during landing and takeoff.
If you have an infant having a bottle with formula or milk or breastfeeding, or if they're a little older and they can have food, like we just tried to always have Elijah eating something or sucking on something.
And every now and then you get lucky and everything lines up perfectly where you've had a chance to like get to the airport maybe a little early so your kid can run around and get worn out. Maybe your flight's either a little early in the morning or a little late in the evening, and so it's around like a sleep time, and then you can just have them eat right at and then they'll sleep the whole flight. Every now and then you'll get lucky and you'll get a baby that just sleeps the whole time.
Yeah.
Other times you're not so lucky.
But then, having some kind of activities for the kids to do. So we have a little bag that we bring. We just tuck it right into Elijah's diaper bag, and it's got just toys that he doesn't play with normally. It's separate for restaurants and flying and traveling, that kind of thing. So just some random toys we picked up at the dollar store or wherever, and, it keeps him occupied at least for a little while. So I usually pack plenty of those little toys.
And obviously if you have iPads or phones that you have like video content downloaded on, a lot of times that can kind of keep their attention for a little bit. Some of his favorite shows on Netflix, will be there for him to watch for a little bit.
We download them onto the iPad that we have. I'll tell you, for traveling it is nice. It definitely keeps Elijah occupied for a little while.
One thing that's probably worthwhile to look into, I think our last flight here when we flew with American was the first flight that they did things this way. All the other folks that we flew with allowed people with young children to board early, to get on the plane and stow your luggage and get seated with your toddler. But for some reason, American didn't do that. I have to hand him to Kelly, and then I'm moving like up and down trying to place my luggage somewhere.
I mean, there is a benefit to waiting until towards the end of boarding to board, just to let your toddler keep running around. Like Elijah usually runs around. He loves playing on the escalators and the people movers. He'll just go back and forth. So, we try to let him run off all his energy. So, then when we do board early, he's in a seat and we can get some toys out and keep him occupied, but you want to give yourself enough time to be able to let them run that energy off.
Something else to just kind of be encouraged that we were concerned about kind of what other people were going to think that we were flying with such a young child. One, the plane engines are really, really loud. So if your kid is making noise, they're likely not even going to notice. If your kid's having a total meltdown, which has happened to Elijah a couple times, then it's kind of like, all right, all hands on deck to try to figure this out.
But so many people also wear headphones. They bring headphones, they're watching. There's so many flights that have in-flight entertainment. So between the engines plus other people with headphones on, there's not as many people who are actually paying attention to what your kid is doing.
And they do have, in the bathrooms, they do have the little changing table. Now that's challenging. It takes a little extra skill because it's so compact in there. And
he's tall and bigger than me, and he's the one who usually goes in with Elijah to do that. I haven't done that yet, so.
Elijah's big enough now that he hangs off the little table. His legs are off, so it's definitely a challenge. But no shame in it. If you got to change a diaper on the plane, you change a diaper on the plane.
You're generally not going to be the only one on a flight with kids. I always look before we get on a flight to see if I see other kids. So
every now and then too, you'll have flight attendants come up to you and just acknowledge hey, I'm a parent, just let me know if you guys need anything.
It's always comforting. Yeah. They're like, you know what, I've been here, I've been there I've done this, you know.
We've
you
had a
just
couple
let me
flight
know if there's something
attendants
you need.
that like offered to hold him, you know, when he's getting squirmy or fussy or
And
whatever.
They do let you walk up and down the aisles, so if you need to get up, like Elijah was one who always wanted to be held and wanted to be moving. Walking up and down the rows of the flight was helpful to him a couple times.
So, I mean, we basically just wanted to encourage you here because we like exploring and traveling.
And we don't want to stop flying.
Right, and we wanted Elijah to be a part of our adventures with us and not to have to end the adventures because he showed up. Maybe you're just thinking about having kids, but know that having kids doesn't have to end all your adventures.
Yeah, bring them along with you. Elijah has been traveling now since he was not even 6 months old yet. And he definitely did great. Kids are really resilient and they should not stop you from doing your all day adventuring.
Well, hey guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any questions for us specifically, feel free to leave a comment. Check out our other videos. We've been on a bunch of adventures and we're going to be going on a bunch more. So give us a follow and thanks for tuning in. La 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 la. I'm sorry.
Weird. Oh my gosh.
Honey, do you have anything you'd like to say? And also we've been able to purchase him we've been able to book him on the
Purchase him. Okay.
I'll try that whole bit again. We'll try that whole bit. Cut, don't, stop it. Anything? Or I'll go, okay.
Alright, I don't know how to segue into the next thing.
So, Elijah's asleep. Show us. Whee!